that you know, that Tim didn't like me because
It was so embarrassed.
It meant that, you know, she and Dad still did it. Now I remember that it was you that told me that story.
Yeah.
Because I could never picture Mom telling me that.
Tim said, "Oh, you can always tell a woman when she's had sex because she limps the next day." Boy, they knew exactly when. Oh yeah, exactly when Kathy was conceived because Mom limped.
That must have been some sex. That must be some sex. You end up with a limp.
Shows how much he knew about it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mom, Dad?
She's limping.
I'm limping.
Oh my God.
So he did not like me when I was little. And I remember I used to beg Mom and Dad when they would go out, don't let Tim babysit. Please don't let Tim babysit. Make Dan babysit. I want Dan to babysit because Dan was great. And Tim, the one time I remember Tim babysat, I had the flu. He locked me in my bedroom and he threw a party. And I was banging on the inside of my bedroom door because it was locked. I need to go to the bathroom. I need to go to the bathroom. But when we got older, you know, we got to be really close. But yeah, I remember that.
If I'd have heard these stories when I was dating Nan, I don't think I would.
When we were little, Tim, I remember. I mean, I was always left in charge when Mom and Dad went out.
Because you were
I was
so
the oldest.
Thank goodness.
Which was not easy with Tim because Tim didn't really respect that. So I remember one time, and I don't know why, Danny was sitting on the toilet.
And only because he had to go to the bathroom.
We went in.
Because he's
So
a
the
Bourdon.
bathroom floors. Anyway, we went and we poured a glass of water on Dan's head. And then, I don't know who did it, but someone, not me probably, someone grabbed the hose. So I'm left in charge of the kids. Someone grabbed the hose, was running through the house
With a hose.
with the hose.
I think that was me. I think I was.
You were retribution.
It was retribution. I was,
Oh my God. Oh,
Was it on the whole time, or did you have a nozzle?
we never got in trouble for it. But
But
now I
the
remember
coal you
another
did.
time though. I remember the other time though, when we were living in Saginaw on Weber Street, and we had a babysitter, and we had a coal furnace. We told the babysitter that her mom and dad let us like sprinkle coal all over the basement floor because it sounded like you're walking through the woods, so we could play cowboys and Indians. So we did that. And then Mom and Dad came home, and of course we'd been running all through the house. And the sitter said, "But they said you said they could do it." That's why we didn't leave them alone.
Oh,
That's funny.
We had all through the house.
God. Think about Tim and
Coal on
I.
your feet. Coal. All through. Yeah.
tracks all over the house.
Oh my God.
The thing about Tim was he had this interesting sense of humor that he didn't need to share it with everybody. Didn't like everybody else didn't need to know it was his own personal joke.
Yeah.
It was just for him, you know. And a couple things like I remember Jay coming when he moved back here. I think he was already married to Amy, and I think they were living in Sanford, but. He called me one day and he goes, "I'm really worried about my mom and dad." And I go, "Why?" He goes, "Every time I go over there, all they're doing is sitting in front of the television and watching the Weather Channel." And he goes, "Every time I go over there." And in the meantime, Tim had said to me, he's like, I'm playing this great joke on Jay. He goes, every time we hear him pull in the driveway, Karen and I run in the living room, we turn on the Weather Channel, we sit downstairs.
That is good.
No, that was perfect.
So you're both trolling yourself.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Hardcore was watching the same, thing
God.
over and over.
Jay'd come up north and he'd say, "I think something's wrong, Mom. Did they say,
There's-
woman, watch your
He's like,
Cheryl?"
I think they're suffering from depression, I'm sure of it. And the other story,
Has he
Dad.
been let in on this joke yet? Or is
Oh
it
yeah,
still-
And the other one I remember Dad told me was when you and Tim, I think once or twice you went to Florida together. Remember? When they were in Port of the Islands or something. And I remember Dad telling me, he's like, so Tim observed that at this time Dan and Tim both drank beer, that Dan would take the tab off his beer can so he knew which can was his.
Well, he back when the he'd open his beer, then he'd turn the tab so he knew it was
To a
his.
certain,
Yeah, so he would turn it.
thing, yeah.
And he told us that. He said, I do that so I know it's mine. So, of course, my next beer, I went. He'd come back and look at it, and he'd look at me and say, you asshole.
Well, you learned from him.
Yeah, exactly. He was so good at
It was
stuff
only
like that.
okay if he did it.
My coffee came back and there was like 9 of them.
Now
Yeah,
he's
he's thinking he
confused.
just drank a 12 pack.
Yeah, you've got to cut back. You're drinking
Karen said, the reason like that, she's like, well, all of them to this day, they're like, we're not sure. Karen was like, I don't like going up north with, I don't like driving in the car with Tim. I hate going up north with Tim, so I would never come up because he's a terrible driver. And because he would drive with his knee and trim his fingernails and file them in the car. And now Jay's like, I think it's because he liked to come up by himself, and it upset my mom so much when he wouldn't ride.
Jay told me today on the phone, he says, Mom said that was the quietest trip she ever had coming up here.
She drove exactly the route she wanted. She didn't get on the highway until she was past
And by the
Sanford.
way, I think I heard it's the first time she's ever.
Yes.
Yeah,
First time she drove up
yeah,
here.
she's ever done
And
something.
That was
Came
a
early in the
covered wagon
morning.
going all the way from Maine to Jesus Christ. What's that? 125 miles?
Yep.
I got a story.
Okay.
This was let you know how mean my brother was to me. Dad used to go pheasant hunting. He'd always come back with pheasants. We used to get the tail feather out of it. Tail feather out of the pheasant. We'd stick a pin up into the quill. And so it stuck out half inch. We'd take thread and we'd wrap it on it real tight so it would stay when we moved. So, of course, we had these made. Now, Tim and I were upstairs. We were
Spread the
8 or
tail out.
10. I was probably 8. Tim was probably 12. He told me, he says, he takes his little dart and he says, you got to look on 3 to get down those stairs. I mean, our stairs were steep. Yeah, no landing, man. It was straight up.
You put
I'm
snow on
telling
it,
you,
nobody
I
could ski.
flew down them goddamn stairs, and that thing got sunk into my back. Holy shit, did that hurt? I come out of the landing door there and kind of fell to my knees trying to get that damn thing out of my back. Mom's out standing on the kitchen. She looked and saw that. Boy, did she come back and
Did you go after Tim?
Oh, I imagine he had so much trouble as a young teenager.
Orville said about Tim, he said he would run into people that were like with Tim at a party or something, and he'd say, that son of yours is so entertaining.
He's so fun.
Orville said,
Tim Bourdon. You tell
Tim
Tim.
Bourdon,
He has nothing to say. Nothing.
he was the life of the party.
That's what Karen said. Somebody said to me, is that picture Tim's graduation picture? He had the tie on and the suit and everything. I was like, yeah. And Karen, I said, yeah, but he was cool. And Karen goes, he was cool. His mom must have made him wear that because he was cool. I always remember Tim. He was, Dad used to, who was it that walked? Dad. Tim was always, he had this, they called it the DA, the duck's ass. And he was always greasing his hair. I do remember that, and combing it back, and he had worse. Pants
Jeans
low,
really low.
he wore jeans really low, and he was doing
He was ahead of his
dishes.
time.
And he was doing dishes.
We had to
he
do the
was
dishes.
right on. Those
Right.
were the
And Dad walked up behind him and yanked his
Pull his
hands
beard
down.
down.
His hands were in the dirty water.
they combed their hair back,
Oh, yeah.
and then they would
The
run
DA.
a comb down in the middle. It was
Yeah,
a
yeah,
DA,
Tim's
looked like
DA.
a duck's ass.
Yeah.
That was
That was his
what they were.
pride and
And
joy.
they were,
Oh
these
my
were
God.
hoodlums.
Is it pretty
Oh,
bright?
yeah.
These were not
What?
college.
Is it pretty bright?
individuals.
It makes it look so much better.
Cool.
Tim
And
was
if it
cool.
was John Travolta in Grease or something,
Yeah.
you remember that?
Yeah.
They didn't have
With a
little
black
sisters.
leather
those
jacket.
cool-
Those cool guys, yeah.
Greaser.
Those little sisters were embarrassing.
Very funny.
Another time, Tim tied me up on a double bed on the upstairs of the apartment when it was empty one time. Tied me up, my hands behind my back, pulled my feet up, right under my hands, then pushed me off the bed,
On your
face
face.
first. My whole lip was nothing but scabs for about
How
a
many
week.
years did you do therapy?
No, he
growing
just
up.
passed it on. He taught his
So you
son to
basically
torture
told me
his.
these stories, and then I tried them on Jennifer.
Your mommy did from the babysitter.
See, he's got the ducktail.
Weber Street.
I had a DA. My
Made a
dad
coal
pulled the DA
furnace.
in my hand.
And we told the babysitter that our parents let us like sprinkle coal around
Oh,
the
you already
floor.
told
of the
that
one.
basement.
Told that
I
story.
that.
You already
Okay.
told that
Are
one.
you
All right.
okay?
Come up with a new
I'm
one.
fine. I'm fine.
Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Come up with a new one.
I couldn't remember.
You're the one that has
The
all.
hose,
You
yeah.
guys are the one that have all
The
the little
hose,
kids
yeah.
stories.
Dad has a million of them.
Oh
I
my
think Dad was
God.
tortured by Uncle Tim.
Well, sounds like it.
Ah,
You know how ticklish I am.
Yes.
He used to, he taught me, he always tickled me. Always take me down and tickle me. Well, then he'd tell me, now, okay, if you stand with your hands
Do it!
stand with your hands on the doorway, let me tickle you for 1 minute. I'll never tickle you again. I said, you're on. 20 minutes later, he'd have me down tickling me again.
oh God. But Danny was the best though, because you would go to the store and get like candy bars for me and stuff. I mean, he was.
Well, I said earlier.
Well, Danny was my buddy, and Tim. It was like Danny
Danny
was Danny me against
Me and
Tim.
Danny
Because
against Tim. Yeah.
oh my
Yeah, but
God,
Danny's a
always.
teaser. Tim,
Yeah.
Tim was.
he wasn't trying
Yeah.
to please you.
He was
He was not running for sheriff. He wasn't looking for votes.
Did not.
Running
Yeah.
from the sheriff?
Well, they'll have to tell you about that. I don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Did he ever get in
Trouble?
trouble?
No, he didn't. I don't think.
Really?
Really?
Tim.
Because he left in time.
Yeah, apparently left.
Just a minute ago.
I mean, he put the water in the hose. I don't think Mom did it
God,
was
just
yesterday.
before the.
I don't remember.
Well, Teresa
And
came
being angry.
within a few months after the wedding, but that's the only real trouble I ever had.
Oh, they were back to babysitters.
That's part of it.
Baby was on time.
We would run.
time.
We'd run to
That used to be a
the
big deal.
sofa and stand and like fall down
Like this.
like a springboard.
Never stole Dad's car or anything like that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh God, wasn't I
Yeah,
remember
I
Mom
didn't
and
do
Dad
that.
and
I
I
didn't do
came home from up north. We got pulled into the driveway. You were sitting on the front porch, I think, and you said he's okay or something. Wasn't that when Tim had put his car down in the river,
Yeah, yeah.
down the embankment of the Tittabawassee, almost down into the river? And we were like, "What do you mean he's okay?"
The car was only 3 weeks
And,
old.
yeah, but none of us knew anything about it. And the first thing Dan was saying is, "He's okay, he's okay." And we're like, "From what? From what?"
Oh my God.
and then there was a write up in the story in the paper that, and they didn't mention like any kind of wrongdoing or alcohol or anything, but I think everybody figured there was some involved.
He was coming home from Karen's house to take care of him.
Oh my God.
He said a guy come around the curve south of Midland and
Netflix.
on his side of the road, he had to take the ditch over to
They
the river.
had to take the river.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But that was steep. That was amazing. He rolled.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, but I remember that. You guys both got new Le Manses or something.
I remember when you
both got
got
the
them,
two
you
new
came down
cars.
to Detroit.
The Le Mans,
They bought
that
them
was
together.
his Chevy.
Oh, you had just got
Now
it.
But the two boys bought, you both
No, it's
bought,
not Josh's.
68
that,
Mans.
is that what it was? You got them down in Detroit? Just different colors was all.
Yeah, Tim's was,
Maroon and green.
Maroon, and yours was like a silver
mine was a
green.
silver green,
Yeah.
with black vinyl top.
Dan used to take me in his. I remember that. Tim would never take me.
Tim wouldn't take you in his.
He didn't like me until I was probably 10 or 11, maybe 12, till I was a person. Not when I was like a
Why didn't
kid.
like you then?
Because Karen came along and I started staying at their house and hanging, and I was, not a
Kid.
kid. I babysat.
That's when he started liking it.
Yeah.
You're babysitting at
I
10?
found a use for you.
Sure.
Holy
Yeah.
10 back then was pretty mature.
Oh yeah.
And especially as a female.
That was
I
a breeding
smelled
age.
Lola first.
That was breeding age back then.
That's all I know about him. Trouble. Everything that Jay knows that he passed on to my brother.
I'll tell you what, it
It all
was
came
also